good thing it was just the biggest game of the year.
It's all right. We can do it in half an hour. But I feel like I should get some like just completely off topic thing going, given that we only have half an hour.
That's fair.
Like, hey, David, what's your views on abortion? I'm just kidding.
I thought you were going to ask me about the Chinese spy balloons.
Well, as an aviation person,
Dude, I don't know. I have no clue.
have you heard of? I mean, apparently it's been a thing for several years now.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it until recently. And I actually went flying on Super Bowl Sunday when they shut down the airspace over Lake Michigan and like Sturgeon Bay and stuff. I wasn't up in that area, but either way, I was flying, so that was kind of cool.
I loosely followed the whole thing on Twitter, and I didn't feel any more educated about it looking at people's tweets. So
No, because no one knows what's going on.
I feel like the same thing is going on in Ohio right now. I have no idea.
The craziest part about that is that it's literally like the plot of that movie White Noise that was filmed in Ohio.
Never seen that one.
Didn't you haven't
Makes me
seen
think.
this? There's a
No, it makes me think of.
dude.
It makes me think of Dark Water.
There's a movie called White Noise, and the plot is literally based on a family that lives in small town Ohio that a train derails and it creates like this toxic atmosphere over the town.
I will need to watch this
Yeah.
now. I'm a little terrified.
It's kind of like when that pandemic documentary came out in early 2020. Like Netflix is apparently the modern day. Who's that guy that we always talk about? Like he could see the future. Notre Damus.
You know, like the Simpsons would like predict everything before it happened or whatever.
Yeah.
Like getting like Trump
Yeah.
becoming president.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dark Water's Mark Ruffalo.
Hmm.
That one was about DuPont putting like toxic paint into people's water from whatever, and the stuff they would use to coat Teflon pans, and then it's like undigestible, so it just lives in your body for the rest of your life, and it's terrible for you.
Yep.
So I'm sure everything in Ohio is fine. Nothing to be concerned about. What are the
No.
odds that Aaron Rodgers is in a dark cabin somewhere in Ohio right now? Do you think he has any idea what's happening?
No, so fake news. Apparently, he hasn't started that retreat yet.
Oh, whew, relief. Oh, so then you got to watch the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I saw your tweet yesterday. You had tweeted, or maybe you liked something. Maybe you had liked a tweet about the fact that Mahomes now has 2 Super Bowl rings in 5 years, and the Packers have 2 Super Bowl rings under the tenure of Favre and Rodgers. 2 Hall of Fame
Hmm.
quarterbacks that span what, like 30, 35 years?
Yeah. Like 32 years as of now.
Well, your 2 is more than my 0 in my lifetime, so at least you can take that.
Hey, and that's kind of my. Do I wish we had more? Of course I do. But I'm just happy I've at least gotten to witness two in my lifetime. One is a very fuzzy memory, but um, it's interesting because, of course, Packers Twitter finds a way to make it about themselves when Patrick Mahomes wins a Super Bowl. Um, and then the whole debate started like, well, Andy Reid was a disciple of Mike McCarthy, or not Mike McCarthy, Mike Holmgren. What if the Packers would have signed Andy Reid as the head coach instead of Ray Rhodes when Holmgren left? Would that have altered the trajectory of the franchise? And is it more on Favre and Rodgers, or is it more on LaFleur and McCarthy and all these things? So Packers Twitter is really good at that.
Yeah, they seem to be a little self-absorbed at times, which is fine, but it's neither here nor there. I think
Entitlement town.
you shouldn't have said that. I'm gonna roll with that one now.
Use it all you want.
I just point out that I get to talk to you on Valentine's Day. I feel a little blessed.
Hearts up.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this yesterday. Schedule conflicts pushed us to Valentine's Day, so now here we are. So, couple takes. First of all, I think like a week or two ago, it was, is Patrick Mahomes already a future Hall of Fame quarterback? I think we can put that one to bed now and just say yes. Now, the Hall of Fame class just got announced for 2023, and then as every year, once that Hall of Fame class is announced, they put together a list of potential first ballot Hall of Famers for the next class, and a giant list of players were included. And one of the players that was included was Andrew Luck. And to me, Mahomes is in the same kind of timeline. I think Luck played for 7 years. Mahomes on 5 or 6 now. Andrew Luck was a great player. He really elevated that team when he was healthy and had some really unfortunate injuries. But the sudden retirement without any kind of notable accomplishments in the playoffs or just in general, there's no way Andrew Luck is a Hall of Fame quarterback, in my opinion. He was a game changer, but no way, not a
No,
chance. Mahomes, on the other hand, was two MVPs, two Super Bowl winners. I mean, that's enough already, and he's still got 10 years to go.
he's literally been to the conference championship every year he started,
Yeah. So,
which is
but
insane.
so that's a player where it doesn't matter what their sample size is. Look at their kind of rap sheet now with the two Super Bowl wins. There's no doubt he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Andrew Luck, not a chance.
S- So before we move on to the Super Bowl, I do want to stay on this Hall of Fame topic. So since we're talking about 2024 right now, there's literally only two players on that list that I think truly deserve to get in:
Read them off.
Julius Peppers and Antonio Gates.
Yeah, but who are the others?
In no particular order: Julius Peppers, Antonio Gates, Eric Berry, Haloti Nada, Jamal Charles, Brandon Marshall, Josh Sitton, um, and then it just kind of falls off from there. Jordy Nelson, Phil Dawson, Doug Martin, Reggie Nelson, Glover Quinn, Sebastian Janikowski, Greg Hardy,
What?
Marquette King, Vontae Davis, Matt
Marquette
Castle.
King.
Yeah,
He got cut like 5 years into his career.
yeah. Derek Anderson.
God almighty. All right.
Um,
Well, I will point out as the resident non-Packers fan that you kind of glossed over two Packers names there and didn't even say that they're Hall of Famers.
they're not.
Take that, Jordy Nelson.
Dude, Jordy Nelson was one of my all-time favorite Packer players, but like he's just not. I don't know what to tell Packers fans. Like he's gonna be a Packers Hall of Famer, sure, but yeah,
You just read off that list. If Devin Hester doesn't make the Hall of Fame next year, I'm going to be irate. I can
I know.
kind of see the first year. Second year hurt a little bit. I mean, you're talking about a guy who changed a position in football
Yeah,
forever.
I agree.
Also, on that, something that is relevant for both of our franchises. I don't know the particulars about the Packers, but I know for sure the Bears. I hate when teams retire numbers. I think it's stupid. I
Mm.
think there are only a handful of players in any of the sports across any discipline that should have their numbers retired. You're talking like Wayne Gretzky,
Jordan.
potentially Michael Jordan.
Potentially.
Well, because they still wear the 23 all the time. So like there are a couple players in basketball. Like you could do Michael Jordan, you could do Bill Russell, you could do Kareem, you could do LeBron maybe, but he's changed his number like 5 times.
Yeah, but like Jordan to the Bulls is like Brady to the Pats. It's
But
like,
the thing I'm trying to say though is like in hockey, Gretzky 99 is retired for everybody.
oh, gotcha.
Nobody in the NHL can wear the 99. So what I'm saying is like nobody in the NBA should be able to wear the 23.
Got it.
That's what I'm
Got it.
saying.
Got it.
But even like the Bears, like the number 7 is retired for I think George Hallis or something, and it's like I think that's dumb. I just think especially in a sport where you have 53 guys on the team and you have 60 numbers to choose from, or when do you stop? You're going to retire the number of some guy who played in the 40s who was probably a Hall of Famer and did a good job, but you're not going to retire, let's say, like Urlacher or Devin Hester's number. Like you have to stop at some point, or otherwise you're just going to run out of numbers. So I like the idea of like a ring of honor is super cool, right? I think the Packers do a great job of having like a ring of honor and like here's their name, here's their number, here's when they played. That's cool. But I don't think someone should be stopped from wearing the number 12 when Aaron Rodgers leaves.
It's gonna happen. I hate to tell you, because the precedent was set. Favre's numbers retired. Bart Starr's numbers
They're
retired.
just going to run out of numbers eventually. They just will. Like any team that's been playing like the Canadian, well, hockey's a little different. They only have 20 players, but like a football team where you have 53 guys, there's only so many numbers out there before you can just run out.
The fact that the Packers didn't retire 21 or 36 after Butler or Charles Woodson tells me they're going to be less inclined to retire numbers because they retired 92 and Reggie White only played on the team for 5 seasons.
That's just dumb.
I like the idea of retiring him, but I do think there's a fine line.
They
And
have to be like almost goat worthy for it to be retired.
yeah, yeah, which I guess
Anyways,
Reggie is top three
but
defensive
would you
end.
think of him more as a Packer or as an Eagle?
He won his Super Bowl with the Packers, but
Eagle.
that I'm also looking at it through a entitled town colored lens.
That's like saying Peyton Manning's a Bronco.
Uh, I don't think it's that far because he won or he played so 93, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He played 6 seasons in Green Bay. How many seasons did Peyton play in?
3.
And he played, let's see how many seasons he was on the Eagles. He was on the Eagles for 7 seasons. So,
Okay. Well, yeah, but
but he
notwithstanding.
and 1 year on the Panthers. So Reggie
Well,
White.
Julius Peppers will go into the Hall of Fame as a Packer, despite his more productive years being in Carolina and Chicago. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Super Bowl is actually a pretty fun game to watch. I'm treading on water because A, I picked the Eagles, and B, I said there wasn't going to be a comeback. There was a comeback, 10-point comeback in the fourth quarter by the team that you picked. So I'll try to be as unbiased and neutral as possible. Those refs sucked. Okay. Those refs were terrible. That fourth quarter was atrocious. And the holding call on James Bradbury that basically sealed the game for the Chiefs, to the letter of the law, was correct. It was the correct call to make. It was defensive holding on Bradbury. However, there was defensive holding by that metric on every single play of that football game in which there was a pass. Why they chose to call it at that moment of the game that basically gifted the Chiefs a win is beyond infuriating.
Go off, King. Keep
That's
cooking.
I'm just I as soon as they threw the flag and I saw that the Eagles, I remember, I think they had one timeout. I'm like, that's it. That's game. The Eagles are gonna get the ball back with 12 seconds and there's no chance. I'm like, and that whole season basically came down to that play, and that annoys the hell out of me. I was talking to my buddy about this where I said, listen, I don't feel as much sympathy for the Eagles because A, I think their fans are annoying, and B, they just won a Super Bowl 5 years ago. Imagine you were a Vikings fan waiting for that moment your whole life to watch your team in the Super Bowl, and it came down to a penalty on Patrick Peterson holding Marquez Valdez Scantling in the slot with a minute and a half to go, and you lose the Super Bowl because of that. Like, the Eagles fans definitely still have a right to be pissed off, and they have definitely a right to be emotional about it. Again, you did just win one not too long ago, so you already had like a chance to experience it. So I don't feel so bad, but that's still super annoying that it just came down to that.
Yeah, it was. What do they say? Ticky tacky.
Yeah,
Uh, Without a shadow of a doubt, it was ticky tacky. The only argument in favor of the call, and I feel like in those situations, I hate the phrase like swallow the whistle because if it's a blatant penalty, you got to call a blatant penalty.
exactly.
But I do think, again, like you said, given the course of that game, they were letting the players play. So that was a very unfortunate time to not swallow the whistle. But did you feel this impassioned about the late hit call on Mahomes against the Bengals as well? Because I feel like it's kind of in the same vein. Like per the letter of the law, I would say yes, that was a unnecessary roughness, but it wasn't a I'm going to light this guy up as he goes out of bounds. It was a forearm that hit him as they both ran out of bounds. So I would argue they're kind of on the same. I would put them almost on the same in the same category of per the letter of the law, correct. But boy, it certainly wasn't egregious in it or intentional.
I think
Well,
the
I guess the
key
Bradbury one was
difference is
intentional because he said it was, but
I think the key difference though is the Bengals one lacked situational awareness. The Eagles one was a player doing something that he was getting away with pretty much the whole game. So, I mean, and you can't touch quarterbacks, right? Receiver versus corner, there's a lot of gray area on what is or isn't allowed, and it's usually just kind of based off of, for the most part, what's happened during the game, so you know what you can get away with. And yeah, like again, he did hold him. I don't think it was egregious enough to warrant a call. It's not like he tugged him down. It's not like he, ripped his jersey or shirt or whatever.
It was probably the fact that he did it twice because he kinda got him on the, uh, I don't wanna call it the in cut, but kinda on the in break, and then, he kinda got him there, and then also as he turned back outside. So I wonder if it would've just been one or the other if he would've gotten away with it, but I think because he kinda did it the first time, and I think Bradbury kinda used that as a crutch to help him recover as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, I'm trying to make I'm trying to piece this together here, and that's the only thing I can think of is, maybe because it was twice, I was like, "Okay." It doesn't help that it came from the ref that was 30 yards from the play either.
All right. Well, that notwithstanding, we can agree that the Eagles defense laid an egg,
Dude, big
which was
egg.
insane. Which is insane that a defense that was pretty much lights out all year virtually had almost no impact on the game.
The fact that and they showed the graphic right at after halftime, the fact that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense ran 9 plays in an hour and 35 minutes, were nearly out time of possessed times 2, and the Chiefs still were able to put up that many points is a that's just gotta be gut-wrenching for the Eagles because they were what, the 3rd all-time for sacks in a season since we've been keeping that stat? I mean, if you were to tell someone, "Hey, the Eagles are gonna nearly double the Chiefs' time of possession, and, there's gonna be a 3 and out right before half from the Chiefs, and the Eagles are still gonna lose."
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I mean, I thought Eric Bieniemy's game plan was really well done. I mean, they had two touchdowns that were virtually the receiver was wide open, and it was just the same play. It was just flipped on different sides of the field. But I don't understand how the Eagles didn't adjust for that one. Mahomes was fine. Like he had some good throws, but definitely didn't think he was like MVP good of the game. He did a good job just managing everything, and he had a couple good throws to Kelsey, but I don't know. I don't think he was like earth shattering.
No,
I thought
he didn't lose him the game.
that's right. I think I don't know off the top of my head. Did it as a Super Bowl MVP ever been won by a player of the losing team?
Probably not, but
Because like
I
Jalen
I know
Hurts
where
was
you're
much
going.
better than Mahomes. I thought Jalen Hurts had a hell of a game, minus the one fumble that was. It looks super awkward. The scoop and score by the Chiefs. I don't know
Yep,
what happened there, just a ball security issue. But I thought Jalen Hurts showed up for the moment. And if I'm not mistaken, Eagles are going to be in a bit of a conundrum here because I don't believe they can fifth year option him because he wasn't a first round pick.
correct.
So they're going to be, so I think he's coming up to year 4 now, and now begins the negotiation process. And they're already in a bit of a cap hell.
And they have
Bradbury's
21 free
gone.
agents.
Yeah, say Bradbury's gone. Gardner Johnson's gone.
Fletcher
I know they have a
Cox.
couple. Fletcher Cox. I think Miles Sanders might be out,
Yep, yep. So,
who was
if I were to
non-existent in the game.
if I were to give you these stats, which team do you think would win? Team A, 25 first downs, 417 total yards, 11 for 18 on 3rd down, 2 for 2 on 4th down, 35 minutes and 47 seconds time of possession. Team B, 21 first downs, 340 total yards, 4 for 8 on 3rd down, and 24 minutes time of possession.
Team B.
Isn't that's nuts though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Eagles offense, it was clearly more productive over the 4 quarters than the Chiefs. It really was that fumble that was the fumble on that punt return. Defense, special teams, man. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Eagles had somewhat of a suspect coverage team throughout the season, and it was again, I think, an example of like the one small weakness kind of reared its ugly head. I could be wrong on that, but I thought I had heard that somewhere.
I just think you've seen one too many of those losses in your lifetime to attribute those kind of things to a loss.
No, because Cody Parkey was also very sus in 2018.
Yeah, that guy hit the bar more than he hit field goals.
That's my point. Like your regular season weaknesses tend to always rear their ugly head come postseason. It always bites you in the ass.
And for the Chiefs, it was the fact that their defense sucked, and it almost blew it. They almost blew it, but it was fine. So, yeah, the halftime show was pretty cool. I was kind of bummed there was no guests. I
Yeah.
thought for sure ASAP Rocky or Jay Z would be out there, especially when Run This Town started playing. I'm like, oh, here it comes. And it was
Am
like,
I the only
nope.
one that thought Kanye was about to walk out?
Oh my God. The internet would have broken.
It was when flashing lights started, or
I
all of the
don't
lights. Sorry.
I don't think the internet would have taken kindly to that.
No.
And then the only commercial I intently watched was the first one because in our prop sheet it was, is it going to be a beer, car, or crypto commercial? And the second was, is it going to be over under 32 and a half seconds? Damn you, Ben Affleck and Dunkin' Donuts. It was 30.5. So I lost. Last year was some movie trailer. I think it was Jurassic Park. And then 2 years ago, it was something about, I don't even remember, someone skiing, cross country skiing up their driveway or something. And then it turned out to be a Toyota commercial, even though it had nothing to do with anything. And it was like 90 seconds long.
Did you have any other favorite commercials?
Honestly, I didn't really watch too many of the other ones intently. I mean, we had a lot of people, so it was tough to kind of get the finer points of the plots if they were trying to lay them out. But
Yeah.
I love the Jesus understands rearing its loud message right into my face. I just loved that. I didn't quite know where it was going with the protesters being shown, and then all of a sudden it says Jesus understands. I'm like, wait, what? So, what about you? Did you have any commercials you liked?
I thought that I thought the Dodge Ram one was kind of funny. The premature electrification. I don't know if you saw that one. Obviously,
Nope.
a play on words. That was pretty funny. I also enjoyed the farmer's dog one. Of course, got my tugged at my heartstrings. The dog one, and of course the Tubi one, the Kevin Burkhardt, Greg
Oh yeah,
Olson. I knew that we weren't getting got because we were watching it on regular cable, but I was like, damn, that was a pretty good commercial.
yeah. I think I got a lot of people. If I've heard correctly, a lot of people were duped by that one. I have to ask you a device question. So I told you we got a quarter keg, right?
Yep.
And from when we got it 3 weeks ago to Sunday, the only time it moved was moving it from our car to the garage. And it sat there for 3 weeks in 34 to 39-degree temperature because our garage does its best to hold in the cold, but can't do it all. And then on game day, we moved it 5 feet from the garage to where it would be resting in the kegerator. We plug in the kegerator. Kegerator was working just fine the night before. So, like all the equipment and whatnot. It's super foamy. Wouldn't stop foaming. Wouldn't it seemed like there was air getting into the hose from the spout to the keg. So we try the hand pump. Again, foamy. Doesn't work. Nothing but foam. Nick goes and grabs his keg of McGolden that he had at his house, brings it over. After the trip and the commute, it's going to be a little foamy because it was moving, but eventually the foam went away. Is there such a thing as like a keg defect? Is like, how, what do I do? Go back to Total Wine and be like, hey, it was foamy. And they're going to be like, well, you probably did it wrong. It's like, well, you didn't, though. We had two different methods we tried. It didn't move for like 3 weeks, and the other keg worked fine in the same system.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I could think of is if it was like a time thing because we got a keg when we first bought our house. You'll love this. It was a keg of spotted cow, and
Oh,
it was before our basement was finished. So we had like a basement party as like a housewarming party. It was hilarious. Just a bunch of like people in their early 30s, late 20s having like a college house party Um, and we literally carried the keg, me and Travbert, carried it down the stairs to my basement, and it was fine. I mean, I think there was a little foam the first, like, couple,
Right, there should
but
be
that's pretty
some
normal.
foam, right?
Yeah.
It was just we went through like 15 like solo cups of just straight foam. And I'm like, this and Nick's been changing kegs. He's been working in restaurants forever. So our buddy Nick was like this isn't normal. So I can't wait to go back to Total Wine and be like, well, I need my money back, and also you're gonna like think I'm an idiot. But at the same time, we did not use this and it's broken. So keep me in your thoughts as I go do that. It's not
Best
I'm
of
not
luck.
really looking forward to that. Also, one thing about the Super Bowl I forgot to touch on: the apparently the NFL, in conjunction with many other peoples, spent 2 years developing the turf that they were going to use for this game. And State Farm Stadium is one of those where they can roll out the field to the outside of the stadium and work on it however they see fit. Turf sucked. If I had spent 2 years making that turf and I saw that performance, I'd be embarrassed. And hopefully they're not trying to do this as a blueprint for how other teams should be handling their field.
Did you sorry, I was looking something up on that. Did you hear the total cost on it?
No,
Is $800,000.
it's actually not too unmodest given that a standard like synthetic turf field is about 750. But that's still for that kind of performance though, that was pathetic.
And then there was a groundskeeper by the name of George Toma, 94 years old, and he's been a groundskeeper for the Athletics, Royals, and Chiefs. He has prepared fields for 37 Pro Bowls, several World Series, and every single Super Bowl in history. His nickname's the Sod Father. That came directly from Joe Pompolino on Twitter. But poor Sodfather, man. This might have been his. I don't wish anything bad upon the Sodfather, but he's 94. This could have been his last showing, and it was arguably one of the worst Super Bowl playing surfaces in recent memory.
Yeah, so he'll probably get his pink slip soon, which is sad. Just a couple final notes before we wrap up the episode. Derek Carr is expected to be released this week as he is refusing a trade anywhere. He wants to be able to kind of dictate his own situation. So the wheels are in motion for a new quarterback for the Raiders next year. Coming fresh off the embarrassing performance in the Super Bowl, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, Gannon, is likely to be the new head coach for the Cardinals. So have fun with that. Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, is likely going to the Colts.
I think
So
that's confirmed.
I think he's in the process of signing the paperwork, unless it just got confirmed in the last 10 minutes. Roger Goodell thinks that the refs did a good job this year, so everybody can laugh. And Jim Irsay really likes Bryce Young. He really likes the quarterback from Alabama coming up in the draft, which is great news if you're a Bears fan. So pretty hyped about that. Hopefully that means the Colts are going to wheel and deal with the Bears to move up and give all of their assets up to do it. Fingers crossed. And the last one, got to save this one for a future J segment. But Pat McAfee is being sued by Brett Favre for defamation.
Yeah, so I thought the lawsuit is absolutely hilarious. First off, McAfee's little monologue about it was hilarious. Basically, like, okay, bub, I'm not even going to hire a lawyer. That's how confident I am in the fact that you are incorrect in the situation. And then the more I researched it, the more I learned like Favre's team needs to prove, like, beyond the shadow of a doubt that everything McAfee said was false, that he like led people on, and it can't just be like one little thing. It needs to be like all of it. So there's no way he's winning that lawsuit. I saw some lawyer put it on Twitter with like some of his explanation, and he said, "I'm taking McAfee minus 500 on this one."
That's it. I'd take that. I'd put $10 on
Yeah,
that
right.
just to win a quick two. So, well, and the other part that I believe is fascinating is that, like you said, in order to prove it, they basically have to admit a bunch of stuff in discovery. And therefore, we can all find out the dirty little secrets of Brett Favre and the legal documents that are shared with the court. So I don't think they want to pursue that. That seems like a very bad idea. Well, I had Jay explain this to me. I had him explain this to me when I came up with the idea with you to start this podcast and say, listen, I just want to do this for fun. I want to have a good time with my buddy. I want to talk about football and have a platform to talk about football every week. What I don't want is to get, and then, I have no idea where this podcast is going to go. Maybe it gets big, maybe it doesn't. I don't want to get sued one day for saying, wow, I think Jay Hickey is an insufferable oaf who needs to shut up because he's wrong about everything, and I don't want to get like sued for saying something like that. So I had him point blank explain to me like the difference between like slander and defamation and things like that. And it's basically like saying if you say that it's your opinion that you think Brett Favre is a scumbag for defrauding the state of Mississippi and its taxpayers, you can't be sued for that. If you're presenting it as fact and you have to be able to prove it somehow, then that's a little different. So I don't know explicitly what Pat McAfee said, but don't worry, I've also thought about this one day, and I'm like, I don't want to get sued either.
I think the worst thing he potentially said was I think it might have even been on one of the Rogers interviews. He was like the sticky bandit, Brett Favre, or something like that. Like he used that nickname, which hilarious nickname. On this same note, I thought it was in very poor taste. This is coming from one of the biggest Packer fans you'll ever meet. I thought it was in very poor taste that the NFL and Fox decided to still use Brett Favre in some of their like post commercial or pre commercial graphics. You know how they'll put like legendary
Yeah,
moments of like I don't know. Maybe I only noticed that because of who I root for, but I just thought that was a bit bizarre. Like they put him up there with like Joe Montana, Joe Namath, a couple other like notable quarterbacks, Troy Aikman maybe. It was just I don't know. I thought it was a weird time to put Favre in that graphic.
yeah, and for someone who's had a lot of bad PR this year, it seems like Favre could be doing more to keep himself out of the bad PR area.
Well, it's interesting because I also heard that the reason his team is filing this suit, part of it is because they're trying to restore his image. But I'm with you. I don't think this is doing anything to restore his image. It's just making it worse because it's making him look
Yeah,
petty.
for sure. That's it. Season's over. And we will be taking roughly 2 weeks off here, and then we'll get back on and recap some of the news. I might pop on if something relevant happens, or just do a quick segment here. But yeah, it's been a fun season. We appreciate everybody for listening. And what you got, David?
Before you go, what was your number one favorite moment of the 2022 NFL season?
Justin Fields outrunning Jair Alexander for a touchdown,
Fair.
and then subsequently choking that game away. What about you?
Probably watching the Minnesota Vikings get their teeth kicked in by the non-playoff contending Green Bay Packers on New Year's Day and screaming at Kirk Cousins throughout the entirety of that shit kicking.
Yeah, the other ones I would say
Yeah, how about
Giants
not
beating
related
the
to our teams?
Vikings,
Yep.
and then honestly, well, the Lions beating the Packers, and then Traylon Burks' catch over Jair Alexander and doing the little man taunt over him.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Some non-Packers ones that I appreciated. I guess this is kind of Packers related. I really liked watching Jamal Williams get a bunch of PR this year because again, I think that's one of the coolest dudes in the NFL, and I love how authentic he is. So I was happy that he was finally getting some national media attention.
Real quick on that one. I forgot to mention in the podcast that Jamal Williams is a hero for teaching me that I can say the word mug on a public radio wave as a way to say mother effer. Because when he was giving his
Oh,
NBC interview, he's like, "This is all dog up in this mug." And I'm like, "Oh, he definitely meant to say mofo, but he just said mug instead." So
yep,
just
that's
wanted to
great.
throw that. Thank you, Jamal.
And then I also think I truly appreciated just the roller coaster that we got to watch the Jets and Dolphins ride this year. Where in the first half of the season, it looked like they were serious playoff contenders, and then they both just fell off the ledge later in the season. That was pretty great because the fact we didn't talk about this, the fact that the Jets had both the offensive and defensive rookie of the year and still didn't make the playoffs is just comical to me.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Another QB team to watch this year because I don't know what they're gonna do, but it was a fun year. And now we get to roll right into the offseason full of free agency frenzy, draft analysis, what the Bears will do, where is Aaron Rodgers, things like that. So looking forward to it. And yeah, thanks again, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it and enjoy a couple weeks without us.